Welcome to Meet the Chief Accounting Officer with Brandt Kucharski, our new career-oriented interview format by the Controller's Council. My name is Lindy Antonelli, Controller's Council Board Chair and partner with Armanino. Before I begin our Chief Accounting Officer interview, allow me to cover some brief housekeeping items. First, although we will not have live Q&A today, feel free to use the GoToWebinar control panel to ask questions to our panelists or the Controller's Council, and we will respond post-webcast. Second, a video recording of today's interview will be available to all attendees via an email link that you will receive in the next 24 hours. With that, I'm very pleased to introduce our panelist and longtime colleague and friend, Brandt Kucharski, Chief Accounting Officer at Ethos, a technology company focusing on life insurance on the path to IPO, and former CAO of Grubhub, the unicorn pioneer of the restaurant delivery category. Brandt also volunteers as a board member for the Holiday Heroes Foundation and the Northern Illinois University Accountancy Board. Last year, Brandt was recognized as the 2020 National Controller of the Year and is our newest advisor on the Controller's Council Board of Advisors. Brandt, welcome, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here and share kind of my background, and thank you.
Great, fantastic. Well, our interview format is intended to get a number of career-related questions, the so-called lightning round of Q&A. Are you ready, Brandt?
No, I'm ready.
Okay. All right, let's go. First, what inspired you to pursue a career in accounting and corporate finance, Brandt?
Lindy, it's really interesting that I started my career off as a computer engineer. I don't know if you know that.
No, I did not. Wow.
Yeah, so my first 2 years of school, I took C++, Pascal, COBOL, all this stuff, and I don't have the greatest story in the world for why I switched, but I was taking these coding classes. Back then, there were no laptops, and you had to go to the computer lab and, stay until 3 in the morning, get stuff done, and wait times. And I decided, hey, computer programming, I enjoy it, but maybe is not the right career for me, and I switched to business. And then once I was in business, I took an accounting class, and I fell in love with it right away. I love the logic and kind of thought behind trying to solve a problem presented with facts and different scenarios that are presented. Accounting is a lot more debits and credits. It's really decision making using kind of logic and thought patterns and looking at things from a bunch of angles. And that really, really resonated and clicked with me.
Wow, I like that. And, applying what you liked, I guess, about the computer classes, but then taking that over to accounting is really interesting.
Well, it's interesting. So I joined Grubhub. There was, less than 50 people, probably like 30 people or something. And we probably only had, this is like 12, 13 years ago, probably had like 5, 6 engineers somewhere around there. And, I'm able to relate with the engineers because, I'm not an engineer, but I can at least share a little bit of their lingo and speak and kind of, know what they're doing. And, it's a common ground for me to relate with the engineering team. And, it's nice, I think, when they can hear like, look, I understand a little bit of what you're doing. I'm not an engineer, but, we have a little bit of common ground, right?
Well, yeah, common ground and building bridges and, producing collaboration with other teams in the company is great as well.
Yeah, it's, I always tell people that, you spend your entire career trying to be an accountant, but then once you get to a chief accounting officer level, you can't necessarily act like an accountant when you speak with other departments, right? You have to be able to speak like a business leader. You have to speak normal lingo and be able to take sometimes complex technical literature and, pare it down and, share with other folks why they have to do a process or how a standard may apply to them in lingo, right? That everybody can understand, right?
Yeah, I think lingo that everybody can understand, other teams in the company, but also stakeholders, board members, CEOs, the other C-suite.
Yep, absolutely. Very important. And it's hard because, accountants want to be very technical and cite 606, paragraph 50 and all that stuff. And you have to be able to kind of do a little more of a general summary and something that everybody can relate to, right?
Exactly. And building the business case. I mean, the the typical corporate accounting and finance person is generally the keeper of the pocketbook or the checkbook, if you will. And, you know, you need to help justify, build the business case for different, you know, to be able to invest in other areas or to be able to justify the business case too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the CFO and chief accounting officer dynamic is so interesting now. I think, you know, gone are the days where the CFO is an accountant. And, you know, now the CFO typical background is investment banking, operations expert, COO, kind of analytical type. And, you know, they need someone who is a chief accounting officer to focus on the items where that may not be in their wheelhouse, right? You know, at Grubhub, for example, you know, we had a tremendous CFO, very close with him, Adam DeWitt. You know, went public together, sold the company together, bought a bunch of companies, and you know, he is a investment banker type, operational. But when it comes to strategy on accounting, you know, let's say Sarbanes-Oxley, tax, compliance, risk, you know, he needs me to advise him and say, like, look, if you sign this contract, here's what it's going to look like on the street, and give him different options and ideas, and help him plan, you know, kind of what the quarter is going to look like, right?
Mm-hmm.